Please rise if you can. Remove your hats and join Canadians from coast to coast live on Hockey Day in Canada and Elizabeth Irving and the singing of O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Protect yourself from respiratory viruses this season. Children 6 months of age to under 5 years of age and their family and household members can get immunized through Alberta Health Services. Visit ahs.ca/vaccine or call HealthLink at 811 to book an appointment. Have questions about immunizations? Call HealthLink at 811.
Linesman Kyle Murchison and Caleb Apperson. Your starting lineup once again brought to you by our friends at Coventry, offering flexibility within reach. Get back in the game with customizable designs by Coventry, the official builder of the Edmonton Oilers. Bob, we got two teams heading in opposite directions. Then again, that's why we play the games.
Absolutely, 100%. But Jack, Canucks last year, best team in the league, limited chances off the rush. This year, they've been much worse in that regard. Edmonton blew an odd man break early here.
Draisaitl winning a face-off against Elias Pettersson, and it's worked through the middle of the ice. That's going to be handled by the hulking 6'8" former Calder Trophy winner Tyler Myers. He sends it up the left-hand side. You've got Kulak scooping up the right wing boards, held in by Jake DeBrusk. Neither DeBrusk nor Miller has a point in his last five. Elias Pettersson has hit another cold patch as he works behind the Edmonton net, tugged free by Victor Arvidsson, and the Oilers break out left to right in this first period of play. Gaining the line is Darnell Nurse. That looked offside, and a late call comes in with 1:20 gone by in this first period. As Bob mentioned in our pregame show, these two teams on November the 9th, Vancouver looked like, hey, we got another 100-point season on our hands, and Edmonton was struggling along at 6-7-1. But the Oilers blew out the Canucks by a count of 7-3, really broke it open in the third period. It had been tight through 40, and since then Edmonton 23-6-2, and Vancouver under 500. And off the draw, it's drilled in by Kulak. Edmonton's league best record over that time has them on the precipice of taking over sole position of first place in the National Hockey League's Pacific Division. Vegas is trailing, by the way, in Chicago 4-3 after two. Sent down low by Darnell Nurse. Troy Stetcher manning the right-hand side on this pairing, but it's carved out of there by Danton Heinen, and now activating is Vinny Desharnais, formerly of the Oilers, to send it in deep. Reversed by Stetcher, of course, broke in with the Canucks and played up the left-hand side. That's tapped back the other way by Teddy Bluger and ultimately handled by Nurse. The Oilers left to right. Janmark, who had 3 assists in that 7-3 slaughter of the Canucks back in November, will kick it back, and it's a reload for Edmonton as Nugent Hopkins eventually hands off to Ty Emberson. Lead pass, Nugent Hopkins to Bud Colson, streaking in right-hand side. Gains the line, kicks it back to Emberson. Put it down low for Noah Philp. Philp comes out of the right-hand corner with the puck and twists it down low for Corey Perry. But Colson setting a screen. Perry takes a shot and a save made by Demko, who gave up 3 goals on the first 4 shots he faced in the Thursday loss to L.A. by a count of 5-1. Niels Höglander, who recently broke a 34-game drought for the Canucks, up to Max Sasson. He'll wind it down low. Sasson playing his 20th NHL game. The veteran Phil DiGiuseppe poked the puck loose for a moment, but now twisted by Kulak back over to Emberson, and the Oilers look up ice as they break out with 3 minutes gone by in this scoreless first period. Each team credited with one shot on net. Emberson to Connor McDavid. He has tortured the Canucks, against whom he hasn't been better than anyone other than Vancouver. Here's JT Miller. Change of pace down the right-hand side. Looking to get untracked. He'll give it up for Tyler Myers. Now Miller breaks open. Fakes the drive. Wrist shot. Garland hit the side of the net. He appeared to have the top left corner, Bob, but missed his target. Garland back on the puck for Vancouver against Matthias Ekholm. Now McDavid breaks in. A centering pass. Ekholm broke it up. Tapped out toward McDavid and rifled back in by Soucy. A centering pass is going to be picked off eventually by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and it's a reset for Edmonton, but a good shift for Vancouver that time.
Vancouver's got a lot of energy going, Jack.
Well, they're desperate. One win in their last 7 games and just 7 victories in 22 here at Rogers Arena. 2 beautiful sunny days in Vancouver. It's been crisp but gorgeous. Sent in deep and trying to control is Derek Forbert. Now Desharnais tries the right-hand side, only to see it held in by Nurse. Down low, Podkolzin and Arvidsson sniffing, with Draisaitl lurking in the high slot. Draisaitl still the league leader in goals with 31, even though he doesn't have a goal in his last 4 games, which for him is a precipitous dry spell. Still second in the league with 67 points, and he scored in his last 7 games here in Vancouver. Sent in by Josh Brown. Reminder, 7 defensemen in the Edmonton lineup. DeBrusk will try to dig it out of the corner. It's popped up on the glass. Podkolzin, who of course broke in with Vancouver as a first-round pick, sees it swatted away. Emberson weaving his way through the neutral zone, carries it back in for Edmonton. Adam Henry sends one wide of goaltender Thatcher Demko, and Quinn Hughes is on the puck for Vancouver. Demko plagued by knee issues the last year, making back-to-back starts for the first time in a month as they try to work him back in and get him up to speed with repeated reps in the net. He has not looked that good. Coming in with a save percentage of .872. The Canucks got it in deep. Connor Brown cleared, and it was tipped in by Janmark. Grabbed by Quinn Hughes, and he'll send it over to Philip Roenick. Hughes, one of 2 defensemen in the league to lead his team in scoring this year. Werenski and Columbus, the other. The outlet is Di Giuseppe, but he turned it over the blue line, and now Connor McDavid on the counter. Cuts to his left, over the line. Tried to hand off for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, but Di Giuseppe had his stick tied up, and this will be iced by Danton Heinen. We've played 5.5 minutes, and there's no score in the hockey game. Edmonton, Vancouver, the second of 3. Bob, this season series is going to be over on Thursday when they play at Rogers Place back in Edmonton.
Well, I have the Canucks still making the playoffs. I know the Athletics got them at 81% to still make it, despite their precipitous drop-off here over the last 14 games.
3 wins in their last 14. Edmonton has 11 in their last 14. Just to give you an idea of these 2 teams heading in the proverbial opposite directions. Draisaitl, McDavid, and Hyman getting an offensive zone faceoff following the icing call, and it's Draisaitl forcing it down low for Hyman. Push free for McDavid, who has 4 goals in his last 3 games. To Draisaitl. Surveys the situation from the right circle. Cross ice, and that was tipped out of the reach of Hyman, and having to reload at center will be Evan Bouchard, who outplayed Quinn Hughes in last year's second-round playoff series, won by Edmonton in 7 games. Pius Suter up the right-hand side for Garland, and he'll float one across the Oiler blue line. Grabbing it is Draisaitl. Button hooks away from Pius Suter, and now a rink-wide pass delivered by Ekholm to Bouchard. He gains the Vancouver line. Down low to Phil, nudged it on net. Easy save, Demko. Battling for the rebound, really digging in. Trying to free up the stick is Corey Perry. Nugent-Hopkins waving at it, but it's pushed free to Hughes, and now it's a 3-on-2 for Vancouver as Nugent-Hopkins dashes back. Suter to Hughes, centering pass, and Garland, well, Nugent-Hopkins got a healthy piece of him to deny the pass. Shot by Hughes, blocked away by Stuart Skinner. Grabbed by Sasson. A pro now out of the Western Michigan program. Cross ice Hughes, and now a shot by Roenick ends up being deflected out of play, and 7 minutes having elapsed in this first period. The Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers locked in a scoreless tie. The Oilers looking for their 5th straight win. The Canucks simply trying to get off the schneid. We've got no score. We're live at Rogers Arena in sunny Vancouver. Well, it's not sunny anymore. It's evening, but a gorgeous night in BC, and we've got more first period play-by-play in just a moment. The Oilers Radio Network. Network. He waved out of the face-off circle to the left to Stuart Skinner. Brock Besser will take it and be cleaned up by Adam Henrique, who won the draw convincingly for Edmonton. Stetcher tries the right-hand side. It's held in for the moment by Forbert. And now a lead pass to Kulak on to Connor Brown, who scored twice in Edmonton's win in Vancouver back in November. Brock Besser will grab the puck for Vancouver in the defensive zone ahead to DeBrusk, who leads this team with 17 goals. Cold lately, along with this man Pettersson, out to Desharnais. His shot blocked in front of the Oiler net. And then from his backside, Troy Stetcher made a great play up to Brown. And it's Adam Henrique who works his way into the offensive zone. Bides his time, sends it down low. Kulak, sharp angle shot. And Demko really squeezing that near post. And had he not, Bob, that was going in.
Yeah, 100% going for the old bank shot. Was Brett Kulak, who's had a hot stick this year, broke a 20-game goalless drought. Still up to 6 goals on the season, though.
Tied at a career high with that 6th goal. His last goal had been in Colorado, and then he scored again.
Minus 21 degrees tomorrow.
Behind win
4
on
degrees
Thursday,
cooler than
4-3.
today.
That was the same night Vancouver
Edmonton.
was shellacked by LA 5-1. Oilers, it was the first time in the history of their franchise that they rallied from 2+ goals down on back-to-back nights. But Colson up the middle to Victor Arvidsson, and now Draisaitl lumbers into the offensive zone. Dishes, faking the one-timer Josh Brown. Arvidsson inside to put Colson curled between Nurse and Draisaitl, who played Alphonse and Gaston, and the Oilers must reset back in their own end. 11:45 to go in the first period. And yes, Bob, I realize I'm dating myself with that reference. Here's Draisaitl to Arvidsson. Right point will send it down low. Draisaitl able to touch it on. Put Colson, who had 14 goals as a rookie with the Canucks a few years ago. Ekholm put Colson, kept it in, but Suter eventually able to bring it out for Vancouver. Hugh Suter, you can count on him to score either 14 or 15 goals every year. Arvidsson in from the right-hand side. Drop pass for Leon Draisaitl. Edmonton back into the attacking zone. Here's Ekholm. One-timer Arvidsson and a kick save made by Demko. Rebound Connor Garland up to Philip Roenick, and at center ice he'll send it in deep. A reminder, Demko was 35-14-2. Then got hurt, and the complexion of Vancouver's season changed. Really, the way they played. Elias Pettersson tried to dish out. It was tipped and grabbed and fired toward the net from distance by Forbert. That was broken up. Canucks have changed their style of play and really became kind of a low-output team in terms of the shot clock offensively. Dug out, Nugent Hopkins to Bouchard, and then dropping it off for McDavid. Beautiful dish, and Hyman had his shot blocked by a sliding Forbert. That was a terrific defensive play. Now Bouchard, pass deflected, quick shot McDavid, stopped by Demko. McDavid has points in 18 of his last 19 against Vancouver. 67 points in 44 career games against the Canucks. Here's Bouchard down low. Actually 41 regular season games, and he added 11 in the playoff series. Hughes under control. Touched on by Forbert up the left-hand side for Jake DeBrusk. And it's spilled in by Brock Besser. He's been quiet lately as well for Vancouver. Just 1 goal in his last 8 games, and they depend on him. Emberson up the right-hand side. Besser scored 40, remember, a year ago. Centering past Janmark. Not ready for it. Noah Philp. That was there. Janmark grabbed the puck, fired by Emberson, and that pinballed off DiGiuseppe right to Sasson. He'll carry it up ice for the Canucks. Halfway through this first period, no score. Shots on goal, 4-2 thus far for Edmonton, who gets a clear from Corey Perry. On to Philp. Janmark stuffed by Höglander immediately, taken by DiGiuseppe, and now Höglander breaks loose. To the net, Höglander backhanded denied. Brilliant stretching out. Skinner somehow kept it out. Vancouver can't nudge it over the line. Roenick one-timer, and selling out for a blocked shot was Matthias Janmark. Skinner, incredible core strength, stretching out the left leg fully extended to deny Höglander, and then whacking at it was Quinn Hughes. Never got it over the line, and then Roenick's desperation shot was deflected out of play. We remain scoreless. Skinner needed every bit of that 6-foot, 4.5-inch frame, but he keeps Vancouver at bay, and we've got no score at Rogers Arena in BC. 9:16 to play first period. Coming right back with more first period play-by-play in just a moment with Ford Dealers NHL Hockey. The Oilers Radio Network.
Calling all hockey.
Mega 50-50 presented by Rogers, now live, and of course benefiting our brave veterans who've served our country. Right now the jackpot's sitting at $464,000. Early bird prizing tonight. You can win a pair of tickets to an upcoming Oilers game or $2,000 cash. Register now at Oilers.com. Get those tickets. Buy them at Oilers.com 50-50. Here's Nurse, a racing Sasson in the corner off an offensive zone draw for the Canucks. Höglander and Hughes recently denied by that outstretched left leg of Stuart Skinner. I'll tell you what, if he's 6'2", it's probably 1-0 Canucks. But he makes the save, and now Josh Brown to reset for the Edmonton Oilers. Ty Emberson working his way through the neutral zone. Pass deflected to Desharnais, and now J.T. Miller on the counter for Vancouver. Took a 10-game personal leave of absence earlier this season. Emberson resetting for the Oilers up the right-hand side. Carson Soucy able to hang on to it. Here's Connor Garland on his backhand. He'll take it behind the net, kick it out for Soucy. Waits and dishes. Tyler Myers fed it in front, kicked on net by Garland to save Skinner. Back to the play momentarily, but the Oilers clear the rebound. Henrique to Connor Brown, and it's sent in deep.
Way too long of a shift for two-thirds of those guys on the third line there, Jack.
Meanwhile, Stuart Skinner's looking a little like a backup in Minnesota the other night. Marc-Andre Fleury with some acrobatics in the net. Here's Jake DeBrusk into the offensive zone for Vancouver. Hughes across to Roenick. One touch, DeBrusk, a drive, a save made by Skinner. Backhander, and a stop on Pettersson by Stuart Skinner, who holds sway one more time. He's got 8 first-period saves, 7:47 to go in the first period. Pretty impressive push here from the Canucks on back-to-back shifts.
Yeah, Edmonton's done a poor job in terms of transitioning the puck out of their own zone. There's been some chances. And Skinner's been solid for Edmonton's made 2 or 3 real good saves down low.
Oilers have not had a great first period in their last 5 games, being outscored 11-4, but winning, of course, 4 of those 5 games. Only Pittsburgh were they unable to dig their way out of a hole. But I think what you're thinking, Bob, is you can't continue to go to the well. Hughes from Roenick. Lining up, centering pass deflected. After all, we told you it's the first time in the history of the franchise you win on back-to-back nights down by 2+. Draisaitl will send it in deep. Skinner, a big reason why Edmonton isn't down at all. We're scoreless as Podkolzin works the right-hand side with Arvidsson. Bumped up to Kiefer Sherwood, who's got 13 goals for Vancouver this year. Hughes ahead for Roenick. Injury-plagued season. He's missed half the games. Hughes from Sherwood lost the handle. He's going to have to regroup at the red line. Canucks pour back in right to left. Danton Heinen to the net with a wrist shot. Glove save made by Skinner. His 10th in 13 minutes. And again, we're talking about Vancouver dead last in the league in shots on goal and next to last in shot attempts. And already, Bob, Edmonton has coughed up 10 in 13 minutes.
You know, Ray Ferraro told us in Oilers Now a couple days ago, Bob, they have an A game and they have a D game. I think we're seeing their A game tonight. They're going good early. But they're leaning in like J.T. Miller, physical with Connor McDavid in front of the net, opening shift of the game. Things like that.
Miller won a face-off from McDavid. Here's Tyler Myers. Dropped it down low, reaching for it, Miller. Vancouver desperate to get back inside the playoff bubble. Right now, a point out of the last wild card spot, which currently is occupied by Calgary. But St. Louis, as you know, Bob, is starting to put some wins together. With Cam Fowler in the fold on defense. Sent in deep by the Canucks. Here's Ekholm with a high flip that was touched, I thought, with a high stick by Sasson. And indeed, they whistle it down with 6:37 to go in that first period. Problem for the Blues is they can't string any kind of wins together. Going into today, I believe, they have not won 3 in a row all year long, and that continues with a loss to Utah.
Well, they're down 4-2. It's midway through the second.
Oh, all right. So, in other words, don't put the cart before the horse.
But, yeah, they're not playing well.
Well,
they can't sustain.
They're playing better, but they can't sustain it. No. You got to go on streaks in the NHL if you're going to get inside that playoff cut line. Forberg off the neutral zone draw, can't control for Vancouver. Instead, it's Corey Perry taken off his feet. Sasson up the left-hand side. He's been up and down a few times. Of course, Vancouver's affiliate is in Abbotsford, nearby here in British Columbia. Connor Brown with a shot that was blocked by Derek Forberg. Here's Noah Phil. Carrying to the middle of the ice, kicking it back. Emberson a shot, dropped briefly, and then held by Demko with 6:05 remaining in the first period. First shot in a while for Edmonton, and just its 5th of the hockey game. The Oilers tops in the league in shots on net, and Vancouver, as we talked about, dead last.
Vinny Desharnais working over the Oilers. Corey Perry. Corey maybe trying to get the guys going a little bit. And Chris Knobloch's going to put McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman together here. Second shift for them. 5v5 in this period. For Vancouver, it comes down to this. They're a strong possession metrics team when they have Quinn Hughes on the ice. When they don't have Quinn Hughes on the ice, they're not a strong possession metrics team. They're going to put Carson Soucy out here along with Tyler Myers. So 6'4.5" and 6'8" on D. And these guys have been hacking and whacking against Edmonton dating back to last year's playoffs.
Draisaitl, McDavid, and Hyman on the ice, along with that Coleman Bouchard. The other reason I harp on the shot clock is in Vancouver, it actually means something. When the Canucks actually get 30 shots on net, Bob,
it's a real 30.
They're 8-0-2 as well. They're unbeaten. Here's McDavid down low to Hyman, a backhander denied by Demko. Edmonton's best chance of the night, and a second chance set up by McDavid. Draisaitl missed a one-timer. McDavid tried to thread it through again, and this time it was broken up. Pius Suter up the middle of the ice. JT Miller scampers his way in. Shot Suter. Glove save made by Skinner. And we'll take timeout. 5:42 to go in the first period. Stuart Skinner with 11 saves in this opening frame. Edmonton, its 2 best looks of the night.
January 18,
Hyman stopped and Draisaitl misfires on a one-timer. And as a result, we remain scoreless in Vancouver. Rogers Arena. Final 5 and change of period 1 when we come back with 4 Dealers NHL Hockey. The Oilers Radio Network. Oilers 7-1 in January and 26-3-2 in the last 3 Januaries. Jack Michaels, Bob Stauffer with you. And, of course, our Legacy Heating and Cooling broadcast booth. Bob, you're full of theories. Got one for that?
Well, the team does start a little slow in the fall. There's a thing called seasonal.
So they do it out of desperation?
Seasonal affective disorder in the fall. It's dark, right?
Miller against McDavid. Face off in the Oilers defensive zone, and the Oilers get a clear up the right-hand side. Philip Hronek up to Pius Suter. Makes a move on McDavid. A dart to Miller. One touch on to Hughes, but he mishandled the puck, and we're going to have a slash whistled against Edmonton. And the Vancouver Canucks will earn the first power play of the night as Evan Bouchard goes to the box. This has been yet another sore spot for struggling Vancouver. Just 2 for its last 22 on the power play. Overall, they're at 21%. But again, recently they've been playing lousy, and that's carried into their special teams.
Oilers 24th in the league at 76.2%. Got to win draws.
But as you know, 87% over the last 2 months. Yep. Among the best penalty-killing units in the league over that stretch. So again, there's recency bias here, but Edmonton's been winning games. Vancouver's been losing them. Here's Miller against Draisaitl. Miller wins the face-off. Quinn Hughes operating left face-off dot. Shot deflected in from his knees. Connor Garland, I believe, got a piece and lifted it over Stuart Skinner. It's 1-0 for the Canucks for Connor Garland, his 12th at 14:38. Garland always seems to save his best for Edmonton.
Jack, you got to see how bad this call is on Bouchard. JT Miller sticks him, and Bouchard just gives him the stick back, and they call out a penalty. And actually, I think it goes in off the Beckholm. I don't know if Garland ever got a piece of it.
Well, he was first in the handshake line, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for now and say it's Garland's 12th from Hughes on the power play at 14:38. Darnell Nurse off the center ice draw. Once again, Edmonton finds itself trailing. The Oilers had run off 7 games in a row where they got the first goal, but now, Bob, they've given up the first goal in 5 of their last 6 games.
Eventually, it's going to come back and haunt you.
Here's Hronek up the left-hand side, and a puck tipped out of play by Josh Brown. 4:56 to go in the first period, and 1-0 for the Canucks. Miller and Hughes given assists on Garland's 12th. They do rule Garland did get a piece of that.
Miller sold that call. It was a veteran play. Embarrassed the referees with it. Reacted, threw his head back after taking a slash on the wrist for Bouchard right after he'd given him a stick before that.
Teddy Bluger wins the faceoff from Leon Draisaitl. Roenick to Hughes up the right-hand side. It's lifted in by Bluger. Sherwood and Heinen in on the forecheck is Rick Tocchet adjusting his lines for Edmonton. And we've seen coaches do that time and again over the last 3 or 4 weeks as Edmonton is heated up. Here's a clear by Draisaitl up the right-hand side. Victor Arvidsson on the puck, deflected away by Heinen and tracked down by Darnell Nurse. With Heinen bearing down on him up the gut, it's Draisaitl with a handoff to Arvidsson. Rink wide, that's going to be picked off by Phil DiGiuseppe, and he'll walk in for the Canucks. Change of pace on Nurse, out to Myers, a drive, a save, rebound, score. Heinen stuffed home the rebound, issued by Skinner. 2-0 Vancouver. Heinen, his 6th.
Well, it starts in the corner. Kiefer Sherwood, who's got a ton of hits, goes in and cross-checks Leon Draisaitl, and Leon's sitting there, where's the call? Puck comes back up the ice, they get it back in, and the Edmonton Oilers, Vancouver's an emotional team, we know that about them. We've seen that about the Canucks. The Canucks have replaced the Winnipeg Jets with one of the more emotional teams out there. And the Oilers right now, they got a tiger by the tail to deal with. And they're not getting any help from Stripes, who are in game management mode right now.
Suter will punch it across the Edmonton line. Miscommunication. McDavid comes back to field that puck and send it ahead for Nugent Hopkins. He'll loft it in on one bounce. Demko guides it behind him for Carson Soucy out of Irma, Alberta. Center ice. It's Myers. Little give and go. Tried to center, and that was picked off by McDavid and left behind the net for Troy Stetcher. Now Kula up the gut for Nugent Hopkins. Chipped across the Vancouver line. Soucy will fling it over to Myers, and then back to Soucy. On to Garland. Loading up from center, instead decides to just dump it in. DiGiuseppe will get an assist on the scoring play as well. Myers and DiGiuseppe assisting on Heinen's 6th. Now Max Sasson operating behind the Edmonton net. Tumbles to the ice. Corey Perry for the Oilers will flick it back to Ekholm, who will reset for the Oilers with 3 minutes to go in this first period. The outlet pass completed to Perry. Drop pass for Matthias Janmark. Crossing and a shot sent wide by Noah Philp. The rebound, Evan Bouchard. Now Janmark dishing off to Ekholm. His drive tipped away by Höglander. Bouncing puck corralled by Höglander on to DiGiuseppe. And the Canucks come up ice. Höglander. That time, they know that backside official got it. There was a high stick, no question, and it was called.
He sold it.
Well, that time he was clearly hit. I thought that was more of an obvious high stick than the slash.
Guys are missing a good game tonight, Jack. I'll tell you that. That's what Ekholm's saying right now. He's going to the box, throws his head back like he's been shot. Got him on the shoulder.
And what Ekholm is saying is the reaction didn't warrant the contact, but there was contact. The stick was in his face.
So call it both ways.
To go in the first period.
I've seen it both ways here in the first. Tell you that.
JT Miller.
Gonna wave a guy on a certain clear as well.
Won the face-off, back to Quinn Hughes. Darts to the net. Hughes kicks it out. Brock Besser fires, and that was deflected. Sent off the half wall. Here's Besser to Hughes. Threw it across. Loading up. Pedersen fires, and a glove save made by Stuart Skinner. Looked sharp on that.
That was a good save.
2:25 to go in the first period. Want to advise everyone that, of course, our penalty kill is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. The Canucks scored so quickly on their first power play that we didn't get that in. And Vancouver with 2 goals in a span of 1:11. One on the power play, one at even strength, and a chance to put Edmonton in another 3-0 hole. The Oilers just dug themselves out of that hole on Thursday night in Colorado. Miller wins the face-off. Now it's Hughes with his club leading 2-0. Dangling down the right-hand side, Nugent Hopkins and Henrique out there with Brown and Nurse. Here's Hughes trying to dish off to Miller, loading up for the one-timer.
Predators,
and that was deflected.
Saturday,
Subtle little
January
pick from
18,
Besser. Now it's
attachment.
Miller. Off to Hughes. Waiting, centering, and a couple of sticks couldn't get on there. Nurse went down in a heap. Now Hughes fires and scores. Second power play goal of the period for Vancouver. Hughes has 3 goals in his last 4 games and 11 on the year, and it's 3-0 Canucks.
Well, Skinner made a great save on Pedersen before, but a long-range bomber, their offense is all run through one guy. Their best player by a mile is Quinn Hughes. Nugent Hopkins tried to sell a trip. He couldn't get it. Oilers haven't had a call all period. Canucks have been the better team. And here we go again, down 3-0.
3 goals in a span of 3 minutes and 22 seconds. And Edmonton trailing 3-0 in Vancouver. They were down 3-0 in Colorado, 2-0 in Minnesota, 2-0 in Chicago, and 3-0 in Pittsburgh. And yet, the Oilers come in with 4 wins in their last 5 games in that stretch. And again, the only loss was in Pittsburgh, where they nearly rallied from 5-1 down. Here's Hyman off to Leon Draisaitl. Out to Bouchard. A drive sailed wide. McDavid on this line as they come off an unsuccessful kill. Vancouver 2 for 2 on the power play. Here's Draisaitl to McDavid. Ekholm will send it down low. The Oilers got one in the final minute of the first period on Thursday night. They'll look to do the same here in Vancouver. Change the complexion of the game. Draisaitl to McDavid. Out to Bouchard. Loading and firing wide. Rebound. Draisaitl can't find it. Back on the puck for Edmonton. Steered out for McDavid. Makes a beautiful move around Hyman. One-timer Draisaitl. And a block shot by Roenick. Went straight to Kiefer Sherwood. He was punished by McDavid, but he did manage to lob the puck back through center. Draisaitl to McDavid. Less than a minute to go in the period. McDavid near the end of his shift. Plows through one man. Shoots, and that kicked off the glove of Demko and sailed out of play with 48 seconds to go in the first period. Demko with a good stop to keep the momentum on Vancouver's side. It must be stated, and I know Vancouver's had the 2 power plays, but still, the shots from an Edmonton standpoint, an alarming 16-5 against. This is a Canucks club that's had fewer than 30 shots in 19 of their last 20 games.
Oilers have missed chances. Point-blank look twice for Zach Hyman in this game. He's got to finish some of these opportunities, and he hasn't been, especially when he's the guy getting the looks on the line with McDavid and Draisaitl.
Henrique, Philp, and Perry out there for Edmonton on this offensive zone draw. Henrique won it. Emberson twirled it down low. Hughes will look to chisel that off the boards. Redirected by Pedersen back behind the net. Forber off to Jake DeBrusk, and he slashes it free out to center. Half minute to go, first period. Again, Arvidsson scored the late first period goal on Thursday night that maybe gave Colorado the idea their goaltender wasn't going to go .950 for the rest of the way. Mackenzie Blackwood, a shot from distance by Philp, easily blockered away by goaltender Thatcher Demko. Here's a shot by Kulak, and that's swallowed up by Demko, making himself large in the Vancouver net. With 11 seconds remaining in the period, Edmonton will get another attacking zone draw, but the Oilers at least able to get shots on the Vancouver goal. They had only had 1 shot in the last 11 minutes prior to that sequence.
Well,
and again,
for me, a somewhat predictable first period. You got a team that's desperate, that you know when they play their game, they can play, and you got an Oilers team coming in, and the whole thing switched on a very 50-50 penalty call against Evan Bouchard. And then to Vancouver's credit, they've smelled a little blood in the water here, Jack.
It was an even game with 5.5 minutes to play in the first period. Now it's 3-0 Vancouver. One more look for McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman with 11 seconds to go in the period. Chris Knobloch figures why not. Draisaitl chased out of the circle, and it will be Miller against McDavid. Stetcher and Nurse the D pair. Miller won the faceoff. Sent it back behind the net for Roenick, trying to kill the clock, but he can't do it. It's forced back behind the net. On the puck is Garland, just trying to freeze it against the kick plate, that yellow strip beneath the dasher boards, and he succeeds in that endeavor. And as a result, Vancouver, a near letter-perfect first period from a Canucks standpoint, considering they had all of 1 win in their last 7 games. And And other than Quinn Hughes, it's the depth of their lineup. Garland and Heinen with the other goals. DiGiuseppe and Myers getting on the score sheet. JT Miller, his first point in 6 games. But all in all, Bob, Quinn Hughes, and all 3 games this week on the road.
Play button.
Two 2-0 in Minnesota, 3-0 in Colorado, 3-0 tonight in Vancouver. By the way, they rule that Connor Garland did not get a piece of that first shot from Quinn Hughes. So give Hughes both goals, both on the power play, both set up by JT Miller. And we're underway as Miller wins the faceoff from McDavid at center ice. Sent in from the left-hand side, and we've got an icing call whistled against the Canucks. There was no sign of JT Miller this morning at the pregame skate as rumors continue to swirl.
Play button. Sleep play.
About his pending availability on the trade market.
Play.
Same can be said at times for Elias Pettersson, although Pettersson contract a little bit more onerous to move, considering he's at $11.5 million. McDavid lining up against Miller for the defensive zone draw after Vancouver's whistled for icing just 7 seconds in.
Drop the puck, Caleb.
Caleb Apperson, to whom Bob is referring. McDavid won the draw, pounded toward the net by Bouchard, deflected out near the blue line and handled by Connor Garland. But he lost the puck at the red, and it's fired back in by Nugent-Hopkins, who begins on a line with McDavid and Hyman. So Chris Knobloch on a regular shift 5-on-5 has not gone to the nuclear option just yet, although on 3 separate occasions in that first period, they did play together. McDavid and Draisaitl, of course, I'm referring to the league's top 4 scorers. Hyman belly down, able to keep it alive. Garland stripped McDavid, who then got back into the play and controls on his backhand, only to see his pass deflected out near Ekholm. He'll wind it down low. It's Nugent-Hopkins getting it from Hyman, loading and firing, and that ended up wide of the net and grabbed by Vancouver's Garland for a length of the ice clear. Over the head of Bouchard. They won't whistle it for icing, so Skinner will knock it down for Bouchard. A dart up the middle, put Colson, laid it off to the onrushing Arvidsson with a backhander kicked aside by Thatcher Demko, who faced just 7 first-period shots. Here's Tyler Myers up the right-hand side, guiding it safely out to center. Brock Besser gained the line with Jake DeBrusk. He was tripped up and went flying into the end boards and a bit shaken up, and will have a call whistled against Edmonton. This will be Vancouver's 3rd power play of the night, and the Canucks have scored on their first 2. DeBrusk shaken up. Looks like he will remain in the game, and this time going to the box will be Darnell Nurse. So another Napa Auto Parts penalty kill, and the Oilers thus far 0 for 2 on the kill tonight. Miller has won the face-off each time, Bob.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. You got a 55% face-off man for Edmonton, 54.5% Henrique. But Miller's a terrific. He's usually around 56% every year.
Miller wins the draw. Pushed back to Quinn Hughes, who has both power play goals tonight for the Canucks. Brown and Kulak out there with Nugent-Hopkins and Henrique, and it's Nugent-Hopkins who feathers a backhand clear down the middle. That'll be tracked by Pettersson. Had his pocket picked by Henrique. Vancouver able to get on top of the puck as it was waved away by Hughes. Garland will leave it for the Vancouver quarterback on the power play. Already 3-0 for the Canucks. And, of course, they're well aware of Edmonton's comeback prosperity. Oilers have rallied when trailing after 20 minutes 8 times this year for victory, second only to Colorado's 9 wins under those circumstances. And Vancouver is offside as Hughes unable to handle a drop pass in the high slot. In fact, they now have a .500 record when trailing after 20 minutes. The Oilers are 8-8-1. That's in today's NHL, you get off to a lead in the first period. I mean, even, let's say, winning 2 out of every 5 is considered remarkable.
So no Kapanen, so Noah Philp getting a shift on the PK here, along with Podkolzin up front.
And off the draw, whistled down the ice by Ekholm, who's out there with Emberson to round out that Napa Auto Parts penalty-killing quartet. Hughes had it nudged off his stick by Podkolzin, and another length of the ice clear delivered by Ekholm. Now does Vancouver lose a bit of momentum on this power play? Down to a minute. Here's Garland. In over the line, Besser. Garland will whack it around the boards. Janmark with Pettersson draped all over. Hughes to Besser, falling down Miller, and here come the Oilers. Flipped up the ice by Brown, short-handed Janmark. He'll be cut off by Hughes, who wrestled the puck away from Janmark and looks to reset. Brown knocked him slightly off balance, and Hughes has to regain his feet, and now weaves his way through Adam Henrique up to the red line and eventually hits the Edmonton zone. Hughes forced to regroup at center, and Henrique just wouldn't let him out of his sights. So a drop pass for Pius Suter, and Hughes will change. Suter to Danton Heinen. Behind the net, Jake DeBrusk. And now out to Philip Hronek. Left point shot. DeBrusk looking to get a tip. He does have 7 power play goals on the season, but that one ended up wide of the net. Suter is on it, and the power play is over as a centering pass inside to DeBrusk is tipped wide. Sherwood now with the team's back 5-on-5, looking for DeBrusk down low. One-handed out to Myers, looking for a lane. It's not there. Shadowed by Adam Henrique. Myers will go around the world with it. Saucer it to Kiefer Sherwood. Looks for a lane and shoots into the glove of Stuart Skinner. With 16-17 to play in the second period, the Oilers are able to withstand the Vancouver power play, and now onto the ice 5-on-5 comes McDavid, Draisaitl, and Zach Hyman.
Well, at some point, the Oilers are going to get a power play here, Jack. But here's how I would explain what we've seen so far tonight. Vancouver is playing like it's their last chance to eat. Okay? And the Oilers are looking like they're a little bit full, and they've been at the buffet for a while. You know,
well, the good news is Vegas has lost for the 4th time in 5 games, beaten in Chicago 5-3. So first place by its lonesome is available for Edmonton, but the Oilers need to rally.
A lot of work to do here for Edmonton.
Even a point will put them in first place by themselves. Dave Tippett's club held first place by themselves back in February of 2020, angled off the boards by the Oilers, and Demko will fall on it. 16:09 to go in the second period. The problem for Edmonton is they fell out of first place and ended up in a play-in round when the pandemic brought the season to a halt 5 days after the Oilers last held a share of first place. And then Chicago, a veteran club, got a good series from their veterans and from rookie Kirby Dach, and ended up winning that series. Here's McDavid off the draw. Centering pass, and Nurse denied by Demko. Rebound, Draisaitl scores. And Edmonton's on the board and back in the game. Draisaitl ends a 4-game drought with his 32nd. He now has goals in 8 straight games in this building, and it's game on at Rogers Arena. 3-1 Canucks.
What an opportunity from Connor McDavid. Are they looking? I just want to see where Hyman is here, Jack. No, it's going to be a good goal all the way. But Draisaitl, NHL leader, 32nd goal, and he can finish. We know that about him.
And Draisaitl finishes from near the goal line. And Leon with his 32nd. McDavid and Nurse, I believe, will draw the helpers. Rushing in, Max Sasson for Vancouver tried to center. Deflected away by Ty Emberson and grabbed by Matthias Ekholm. Off the right-hand side for Connor Brown. Leon Draisaitl did not get on the score sheet in his first 8 visits to Rogers Arena. He's now been on the sheet his last 15 times in this building. Set up the left-hand side. Corey Perry cuts it off on the half wall for the Oilers in their own zone. McDavid now has a point in 19 of his last 20 head-to-head against Vancouver. And Darnell Nurse will pick up the other assist. So 3-1 as it's rifled in by Ekholm. Draisaitl on the ice once again with McDavid. Vancouver's Jake DeBrusk up the right-hand side, defended by Kulak as he hits the Edmonton line. Puck loose in the corner. Tugged free by Pettersson. Grabbed by Draisaitl on his backhand, and here come the Oilers' top players again. Draisaitl to Troy Stecher. Filling the lane is Hyman. Centering pass redirected by McDavid off his backhand, and that trickled off the pads of Thatcher Demko. Pettersson will angle one up the left-hand side for Besser. Tried to move it up for DeBrusk, who's cut off by Kulak. Lead pass to Draisaitl. Bumped it back for Zach Hyman. Now Draisaitl built it by J.T. Miller.
Saturday,
Bob
January
Stauffer's chagrin.
18th.
The Oilers will reset. Here's Nurse up to Draisaitl. Gain the line.
Wild
And now
2-6 Predators.
button hook to the
Saturday,
half wall. Left-hand
January
side. He
18th.
spins again, heading for the net. Elects not to shoot with Tyler Myers in his grill. Now gives it up for McDavid. Edmonton's top line buzzing here. McDavid using a screen. Wired one right to the chest of Thatcher Demko. And the score remains 3-1. 14:06 to go in the second period. And I'm wondering whether we're going to see on a permanent basis for the remainder of this game Nugent-Hopkins slide in between Arvidsson and Podkolzin.
A real hard hit by J.T. Miller on Leon Draisaitl. And Draisaitl later in the shift, I mean, he responded the only way he could. It was a woodchopper's ball out there, and he whacked him good. And that should have been a penalty on Leon. He got away with it. But the Oilers, Miller has brought up the physical intensity for Vancouver. Hughes, their best player, has driven their offense, but Miller has won key draws on 2 power play goals, and he's been bringing it. And that's part of the reason why Vancouver's out front by a score 3-1.
Nugent-Hopkins between Podkolzin and Arvidsson. McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nurse getting Edmonton on the board. And you wonder whether McDavid and Draisaitl are going to be together for the remainder of this hockey game.
I think that's a good bet here, Jock.
Nugent-Hopkins to Arvidsson. Nurse left point. Centering pass, one time toward the net by Arvidsson, but grabbed by Sherwood. Did not get out of the zone, held in by Nugent-Hopkins. Deflected to the middle of the ice, and Desharnais gets a clear. Lead pass right wing, Danton Heinen. Cuts to his left and then turned it over. Chopped back toward the net. Heinen gives it up. Waiting as Bluger tried to center one extra pass, and Vancouver ends up getting nothing as the pass was tipped and into the waiting arms of Stuart Skinner with 13:40 to go in the second period. Some rough stuff with Bluger getting a half headlock.
Well, Sherwood's always going to be around that. You know that.
And so is Josh Brown. Ultimately, the players pried apart, and we will take a break. 13:40 to go, second period. Vancouver raced out to a 3-0 lead on the back half of the first period. 2 power play goals from Quinn Hughes, but Edmonton's back in the game. Leon Draisaitl, his league-leading 32nd goal of the year, set up by McDavid and Nurse. And Edmonton back in the game. It's 3-1 Canucks, and this is 4 Dealers
Radio Network.
Tonight's Heroes of Oil Country Mega 50-50, presented by Rogers, supporting veterans and their families through the Homes for Heroes Foundation and Wounded Warriors Canada. And right now that jackpot's sitting at more than $500 grand. So please get your Oilers 50-50 tickets at Oilers.com 50-50. Vancouver pours into the offensive zone, leading 3-1 as we approach the midway point of this hockey game. But Besser stripped of the puck by Matthias Janmark. He'll lay it ahead for Connor Brown. Defended by Quinn Hughes down low. Philip Roenick on the puck for the Canucks in the dark uniforms, traveling left to right in this second period. Turned over by Hughes. Grabbed by Adam Henrique. Brown to Kulak, across to Stecher, and he'll wind it down low. Roenick with a lift of the stick, creating an opportunity for DeBrusk, and a clear for Brock Besser off the body of Adam Henrique. He'll leave it for Stecher as we go inside 13 minutes to play in the second period. The Canucks on top, 3-1. Quinn Hughes, a pair of power play goals. Leon Draisaitl has extended his NHL lead in the goal-scoring department to 5, as he's now up to 32 on the year. It's the only goal of this second period as Edmonton tries to claw its way back from a 3-0 hole. Draisaitl couldn't field a pass from Kulak. Hughes Suter the other way for Vancouver. He'll leave it in the corner for J.T. Miller. On to Connor Garland. Checked by Ekholm off the puck, and here comes Connor McDavid. In full flight, he'll chip and charge around Soucy, and that's going to be an interference penalty as Soucy got a piece of him and gave Draisaitl a shove for good measure. But this will be interference whistled against against Carson Soucy, and Edmonton awarded its first power play of the hockey game at 7:42 of this second period. And the Oiler power play is sitting at 24% on the year, 8th in the league. Vancouver penalty killing has been fairly solid for most of the year at 81%.
Well, now it comes back to face-offs. And they won 2 on their 2 goals. And you take a look at their third power play. The
Meaning
Oilers,
Vancouver.
Yes. And the Oilers did not win first 2 goals at first 2 shorthanded situations. Vancouver took it right to the net. Got to win draws if you're Edmonton. And Dreisaitl's dropped off on the power play face-offs. He's waved out here. Connor McDavid at 47% coming in.
Against Teddy Bluger. Face off to the right of Thatcher Demko. McDavid won it cleanly. He's won a couple on that side in this zone. Bouchard to Nugent-Hopkins. Reversing top of the left circle. Now Bouchard in the high slot. Defended by Bluger, who got his stick on that pass. Deflected away for Tyler Myers. 2-on-1 shorthanded. Myers with Bluger heading for the net. Conservatively just laid it into the corner. And Bluger couldn't even make contact with the puck. So now McDavid's away. And Edmonton with numbers coming the other way, right to left. Hyman lost the handle, however. And it's Pius Suter will chip it past Hyman. Vancouver thought he was held. No penalty was called as it's sent tumbling back into the Canucks, or excuse me, the Oilers zone. Bouchard will leave it for McDavid. He'll hit the line with speed and dish off to Nugent-Hopkins, top of the left circle. Now it's McDavid. Bouchard. McDavid, left circle, fires, and that shot blocked by Roenick. The rebound comes to Kiefer Sherwood, and a shorthanded chance for the Canucks. Sherwood across the line, hits the trailer. Forbort fired, and that ticked off the glove of goaltender Stuart Skinner. Forbort, not much of a goal scorer, and that paid off for Edmonton right there. 50 seconds left on the Atco Energy power play, and now we'll have an offside whistled against Edmonton. Coming over the line, and the top unit's going to be sent off here with 51 seconds still left in the man advantage. Atco, your trusted Alberta retailer, with the Oilers trailing 3-1, a neutral zone faceoff forthcoming. And we'll have Adam Henrique out there with Corey Perry, Ekholm, Nurse, and Victor Arvidsson lined up in front of the 2 player benches, looking for the stretch maybe from Nurse. Indeed, it's delivered to Arvidsson, and he'll snap it around the boards. But Demko, plenty of time for a handoff to Myers. He was not able to drive it past Darnell Nurse, or was he? They're going to whistle a hand pass against Nurse as he kept it in the zone, but with his glove. And as soon as Edmonton touches up, the faceoff comes outside.
Well, Darnell put no heat on the pass across to Arvidsson, and Arvidsson basically had to eat the puck.
For you football fans, Washington is heading to the NFC Championship game with a 45-31 upset of number 1 seed Detroit.
Our old friend Kevin Quinn, long time. He's been a Lions fan his whole life. Sucks for Detroit. It's such a great year. A lot of injuries on the fence, Jack, as you know.
Their last championship came before he was born, the year before, 1957.
Bobby Lane.
Well, Bobby Lane was not the quarterback of that team. He was injured very early in the season. Quarterback was Tobin Roten, wristed down low by Adam Henrique. But yes, that is the Lane era, which actually ended after that season. He moved on to Pittsburgh. And unfortunately for Steeler fans, could not duplicate his success in the Motor City. Here's Henrique giving it up for Perry. Henrique angled off the boards. Perry heading for the net, sliding it off Henrique's skate. Still a power play, remember, which is finally ticked off. Arvidsson tried to flash it in front. That clipped the side of the net. Ekholm with a desperate zone keep against Soucy, and it remains down low for Corey Perry. So now 5-on-5. Perry banks it off the back of the net, then centers for Ekholm, top of the left circle, looking for a lane. Checked by Bluger, lets it fly, and it was blocked in front and shoveled up the right-hand side by Forbort to Bluger. Rink wide to Soucy. Centering pass off target. Wow, Soucy, no touch on that play for Pius Suter. He was all alone in front of Stuart Skinner. Quinn Hughes up to Connor Garland, and it's bumped back into the Edmonton zone. 9.5 minutes to play, second period. The Oilers have gotten one back, but still trail 3-1. Here's a turnover. Garland centering pass, one-timer, and DeBrusk had it blocked by Adam Henrique. That might have saved a goal. Here's Matthias Janmark around Garland, driving down the right-hand side in full flight. Janmark on his backhand, able to fight off traffic and throw a dart behind the net for Brown when he tried to slither it inside for Noah Philp. That was broken up and cleared by Quinn Hughes. Kept alive by Janmark, and Hughes has to reverse to Philip Roenick, who will serve it up to J.T. Miller, and icing will be waved off as Ty Emberson will track it down for Edmonton. Long stretch to Noah Philp. He'll dump it in for Edmonton. Back to gather is Roenick. Couldn't get it through Philp. He'll put it back down low, and now Garland's on it. Run into by Leon Draisaitl. Out there with Philp and Brown. Niels Höglander on the puck for Vancouver. Down to 3 goals this year. We talked about the 34-game dry spell. The reason I bring it up is he scored 24 a year ago. Finishes his check on Emberson on a dump in, but now it's Troy Stetcher. Too far for Emberson and grabbed instead by Brock Besser. Angled off the boards by Roenick, but turned over. Draisaitl to McDavid. Makes a move around Myers. Centering pass intercepted. Brock Besser was in the lane, and the Canucks send it off the left-hand boards back to the Edmonton blue line. Bouchard to Draisaitl. McDavid building steam inside to Hyman, and that pass off target and cleared by Besser. Bouchard tried to bank it off a skate back into the zone. Instead, it's Pettersson on to Besser. Near the end of his shift, he rides Bouchard into the boards. Ekholm looking to escape the pressure from DeBrusk. Ahead for Hyman, too far, and that'll turn into an icing call against Edmonton with 7:49 to play in this second period, and Edmonton still on top 3-1.
Zach Hyman's been fighting it, Jack. He's been wearing that bubble, and I have to think that it's affecting his ability to pick up pucks in tight. Just doesn't have the same. He went on a real good hot streak right after not being named to the Canadian Four Nations Cup team. Does have 12 goals and 18 points in the 20 games plus 9 since then. But it's cooled off of late, and he's had lots of chances.
Face-off win for Pius Suter, but the puck trickles outside the zone, and now it's Hughes. He'll give it up to Jake DeBrusk, and now Vinny Desharnais. In from the right-hand side. Ekholm did not get it out of the zone. Skinner rolls it over to Bouchard. Lead pass left wing, and that's out of the range of the intended target from Colson. Driven back in by Desharnais. Ekholm takes a pass from Bouchard. Penalty coming against Vancouver. The hit was up high on Bouchard, and the call is made by Wes McCauley. It'll be another Atco power play for the Edmonton Oilers. And Kiefer Sherwood is unhappy with Evan Bouchard, feeling like perhaps a call was sold there. So 3-1. Our score in favor of the Vancouver Canucks. But when we come back, Edmonton returns to the power play and looks to come within a goal. It's high sticking against Kiefer Sherwood. 3-1 Vancouver at Rogers Arena with Ford Dealers NHL Hockey. The Oilers Radio Network.
Did you know that there are 9 Napa artwork?
Oiler power play, 7:18 to go in the second period. Vancouver led 3-0 after 1. Draisaitl has scored here in the second, and now he'll take a face-off to Thatcher Demko's right and win it cleanly back to Evan Bouchard. In the middle of the ice, Bouchard waits, shoots, and that floated. Ended up wide, deflected Nugent Hopkins. Little give and go with Draisaitl in the left circle. Tried to return it to Leon. Taken away. Tyler Myers trapped in the corner by Nugent Hopkins and Hyman. It's Draisaitl over to McDavid, fumbled it, and then shot it wide.
That's an open net look. Wow.
And that puck appeared to crawl outside the zone. They missed the puck leaving the zone and finally cleared by Myers up the right-hand side.
They're having a rough night.
Here's Bouchard back at his own end. Cuts to his left, and at center ice hits the on-rushing McDavid. Dashes in. Around Heinen, kicks it off to Leon Draisaitl on the right half boards. Here's McDavid to Draisaitl. Couldn't get a shot away. Chance for Vancouver to clear, but Soucy inexplicably just tapped it back to the slot. Here's Nugent Hopkins. Loading, centering, one-timer score! Draisaitl buries his second of the period. Power play goal, Leon Draisaitl. 33rd of the season and 8th on the man advantage, and one wonders what Soucy was thinking. He had 2 guys there and just tapped it into the high slot, and Edmonton made him pay.
That was a great shot by Leon. I mean, just a really acute. I mean, I don't even know how Got it through, but he did. Game on, Jack.
He scores every goal from that spot. It's 3-2 as the Oilers have pulled within one.
He does from that side, but that was a little bit tighter.
I don't know what Carson Soucy is doing here. That was an egregious turnover, and Nugent-Hopkins slithered it across, and Leon Draisaitl able to finish it off from his office beneath the goal line, and that appeared to go through the breastplate of Thatcher Demko. JT Miller will dump it in. Nugent-Hopkins and McDavid with the helpers on Draisaitl's 33rd of the season and second of the night. So the Oilers bang one in on the power play. Canucks charge in left to right off the center ice face-off. Here's Connor Garland. Back behind the net for Pius Suter. Angled off the boards, Hughes. A shot, and that sailed wide. Rebound, Roenick. He fires and misses. They're going to say Bouchard on the second assist. I thought it was McDavid who got it over to Nugent-Hopkins. Wound around. Janmark at center ice. Dumped in. And Desharnais will leave it in the corner. Hughes on it for Vancouver. Hits a streaking Jake DeBrusk. Left wing. Fires, and that missed high glove on Stuart Skinner. Rebound Desharnais. DeBrusk. Desharnais took a shot. Blocked by Phil. Then moved it for Forbert. Coming off the left half boards, Brock Besser. Been quiet thus far. Wrister into the glove of Stuart Skinner, who locates and freezes the puck with 5:12 to play in the second period. And indeed, it's game on in Vancouver. Edmonton once down 3-0. Looking to rally from that exact same deficit for a second game in a row. They're within 3-2, and there's 25 minutes left in the hockey game. More second period play-by-play on deck. This is Ford Dealers NHL Hockey live from Rogers Arena in Vancouver, BC. The Oilers Radio Network. Oilers trailed 3-0 after one. It's now 3-2, 5:12 in the second period. The Oilers' second periods all year long have been a strength. They're the best in the league in the second period. They've outscored their opposition 65-34. Vancouver, an offensive zone face-off. Besser moves to Quinn Hughes left circle. Checked by Arvidsson and Kulak. Tried a centering pass to Pettersson. That was broken up. Pettersson and Besser extremely quiet tonight for Vancouver. Thunderous check delivered by Jake DeBrusk in the corner, but the puck is muscled out by Arvidsson, and now you've got Besser looking for DeBrusk. He had changed. Onto the ice comes Pius Suter, and he'll dump it into the corner for Pettersson. Suter able to regain puck possession out to Soucy, who muffed that clear on the penalty kill. Edmonton took advantage. Draisaitl is second of the night to cut it to 3-2. Now it's Suter and Garland trying to keep the puck in the corner. JT Miller flashes behind the net and receives a pass. Miller with 2 first-period assists on the power play goals for Hughes, but here a turnover, and now it's Arvidsson up the right-hand side. He'll dump it in. Miller coming into this game had seen his team outscored 7-1 with him on the ice in the last 4 games. Edmonton steps in prematurely offside with 4:06 to go in the second period. Vancouver 3, Edmonton 2. Now has the mood changed where Vancouver's thinking, hey, we're struggling, and all of a sudden our 3-goal lead looks awfully tight.
100%. Chris Knobloch's going to go to the whip here. Tomorrow's a CBA mandated off day for the Oilers. They
play Tuesday against Washington.
What a game that should be.
Washington won again today. The Caps have not lost in regulation in their last 10 games, and with 4 straight wins are a league best 31-10-5. Fired in, and Demko will knock it down.
You think Carberry's going to be the coach of the year or what?
No question. And I thought he might have been on that short list last year. Ekholm will shoot it on net. Rick Tocchet won the award, deservedly so, but Carberry getting that team to the playoffs, a minor miracle. Here's Bluger up the left-hand side, and they're much better this year. Vancouver very close to too many men, but a good non-call there as no Canuck player touched the puck as it was hovered near the bench area. Carried in by McDavid left wing. Tried to center and then backhanded it in front. That was behind Draisaitl. And here's Kiefer Sherwood. He'll dump it in from center. Stuart Skinner, as he did on Thursday night, gave up 3 in the first. He told me, I'm not giving up a 4th, and let's see what happens. Well, it paid off as his team got 4 unanswered against the Avalanche. Can they do it again tonight in Vancouver? Adam Henrique gets it in deep. The Oilers, Connor Brown, down low for Corey Perry, uses a pick from Brown. Out to the point for Nurse. Shot Josh Brown. That's sailed wide. Rebound, Sasson. Draped all over Corey Perry. Henrique hovers close by. The puck trickles free, and on it will be Philip Roenick. He's able to turn and wedge it back through center ice. Going to be knocked down by Josh Brown. He gave it away. Sasson reeled in by Brown. One-timer ripped on net by D. Giuseppe as he was heading off on a change. Save made by Stuart Skinner. The Oilers clear up the left-hand side. Hughes closes quickly on Corey Perry and looks to dance away from Connor Brown. Right
17% battery power. Charging. Status bar item. Swipe down with 3 fingers to reveal notifications. Swipe up with 3 fingers to reveal the control center. Double tap to scroll to top.
With a drop off for Kulak. Up the gut, and at center ice, it was flubbed by Podkolzin. They're not going to give Besser the opportunity to do anything as Besser threw it over the short glass, and the faceoff will come back to the red line with exactly 2 minutes left in the second period, and Vancouver's lead, once 3-0, is down to 3-2.
But you can still see the urgency, Jack. The moment Vancouver gets a chance to put the puck on the net, they do. And again,
still just 4 shots in the second period. Edmonton's come out and once again played a great second period. Plus 31 in the second this year. But the Oilers, again, -9 or -10 now in the first period of this season. And that -10 has all come in the last 6 games.
Yep. Halftime adjustments is up.
Something like that.
Yep.
Lead pass for Brett Kulak from Emberson. Nugent Hopkins to Podkolzin. He'll dump it in. Forber, run off the puck by Nugent Hopkins. Muscled free. Arvidsson digging in against Heinen, who was shook against the half wall by Podkolzin, and now Nugent Hopkins. Edmonton in search of the equalizer before the break. Oilers managed to do that. In Denver.
19% battery power. Charging. Status bar item.
Botched a pass from
Swipe down with 3 fingers to reveal notifications. Swipe up with 3 fingers to reveal the control center. Double tap to scroll to top.
He rolls it away from Danton Heinen. On to Brett Kulak, and now Draisaitl dusts it off for Darnell Nurse. Final minute, second period. Edmonton's top line back out there. Draisaitl has scored both goals tonight. Lead pass taken away from Hyman by Quinn Hughes. He'll reset for Vancouver. Looking to avoid Hyman and Draisaitl up the left-hand side, jammed in by J.T. Miller. Here's Skinner. Hard rim, up the boards, Hyman. Center ice, J.T. Miller. Looks and fires it in deep. Skinner to knock it down. Garland bearing down on him. Fires it off the back of Ekholm, and now it's Garland. Tripped up behind the net, Pew Suter. Gets inside positioning and got it out to Tyler Myers. 20 seconds to go in the period. Roenick kept it down low. Bouchard, Suter, McDavid took it away and starts up ice with 15 seconds to go in the period. Draisaitl tried to borrow his way inside. One-timer, Bouchard deflected by Hyman. He had the left side of the net but could not angle it toward the goal.
9:47 p.m. Button. Status bar item.
Skinner makes one final save at the horn and will head to the dressing rooms with a score. Vancouver 3, Edmonton 2.
Right at the end of the period, Connor McDavid may have gotten away with the high stick, Jack.
He did against Roenick. Got the stick right up underneath the chin.
That one, to me, was a more obvious high stick than the call earlier in the game that went against the Edmonton Oilers' Matthias Ekholm.
When he hit the guy in the face with the
debts are adding up and you don't know how to pay?
Just go online and visit wecanhelp.ca.
If the stress of debt has left your finances in disarray,
just go online and visit wecanhelp.ca.
Need a licensed government debt solution to help you find your way?
Just go online and visit wecanhelp.ca.
To find a licensed insolvency trustee who will discuss your debt options at no cost or obligation, reach out to Alan Marshall and Associates today
at wecanhelp.ca.
My name's Sherry, and I said yes to Quick Check from Capital One. With Quick Check, I knew which credit card I was pre-approved for in seconds, even before applying. QuickCheck also doesn't impact your credit score. That gave me the confidence to apply for a card and start rebuilding my credit once again.
Try QuickCheck from Capital One to know if you're pre-approved for a credit card before you apply without impacting your credit score. Visit CapitalOne.ca/QuickCheck. You've got this, we've got you.
See him grow a little bit offensively, sort of similar to the trajectory that Brett Kulak's career has had.
I wasn't necessarily pointing out the dry spell, just pointing out his only goal was against Vancouver.
Yeah, but I think we both agree there might be a little bit more offense there.
Miller wins the face-off. Soucy nudges up the left-hand side. His confidence has been growing ever since they put him over the boards. First pair on the PK with Mattias Ekholm. That was a cagey move by Mark Stewart, and it's really elevated Emberson's confidence level and ultimately his compete and general NHL level. He's really blossomed under that tutelage. Here's Ekholm reversing in his own end, looking for Bouchard. He'll gain the line. McDavid and Draisaitl still out there. Hyman a shot along the ice and an easy save made by Thatcher Demko. Soucy carefully up to Tyler Myers, angled ahead for Brock Besser. But that puck was lodged in his feet. Bouchard misfired on a lead pass. Hyman clearly had a stride on Forbert, and they missed a call there. That should not be icing against Edmonton. I mean, Hyman was a full stride and a half ahead of Derek Forbert. And they're not conferring, so they're going to drop this puck back in the Edmonton zone. Usually in an obvious situation like that where they miss it, they'll confer and drop the puck at center. But
so McDavid's sitting here at a 53-second shift right now, Jack.
Well, that's chump change for him.
But
minute 53, maybe.
D-zone draw.
You know him, the inexhaustible tank. Pettersson against McDavid. And McDavid pulled it back for Evan Bouchard. McDavid isn't looking to change as Bouchard lofts it ahead. Grabbed by Hughes. McDavid, some contact there. Hughes went down. No penalty was called. Crowd thought there should have been a trip. Not much contact, quite frankly. Arvidsson, indeed, back on the ice for Edmonton. His shot blocked, and Roenick's going to be whistled for an icing call. We have seen some inconsistencies throughout this game with respect to icing and a few other
high sticking. I mean, the Oilers, you can make an argument maybe Connor should have got a penalty late in the second. Your Vancouver part is in, you're saying stick was in there and Hughes when he button hooked in the third here.
So now face off to Demko's right-hand side. Nugent Hopkins put Colson and Arvidsson the line sent over the boards, and a face-off win for the Canucks. The puck juggled by Besser and returned to Quinn Hughes. He's going to regroup against Podkolzin, his one-time teammate in Vancouver. Besser will snap it in. He was at center. Nurse up the boards, not out. Roenick tapped it back down low. Podkolzin on it for the Oilers. Nugent Hopkins crowded by Sherwood. He was belted. That puck shaken free. Bluger looking to finish his check on Kulak. He reverses over to Nurse. Sherwood burrowed his way in. Nurse is on top of him. The puck squirts free, and now Arvidsson will carry it out for Edmonton. On to Kulak, and he'll shoot it in. Demko has the puck hop over his stick. Now it's Philip Roenick. Looked up ice, sent one up the right-hand side. Heinen couldn't get on that puck. Looked like it crawled across the blue line. Kyle Murchison says no, doesn't matter, as the Oilers will just trade the puck in their own end. But like I said, there was a play like that in the second period where it was ruled to have not exited the zone when it was obvious it had. Here's Forbert off an Edmonton dump in, able to backhand one up to Niels Höglander. Tried to give it up right-hand side. Excellent backtrack by Adam Henrique as he picked it off. The intended target was Max Sasson. Henrique at center ice, shovels ahead for Connor Brown. He'll float one across to Bouchard as once again Perry with Henrique and Brown in this alignment. Josh Brown, meanwhile, the pairing with Evan Bouchard. Two righties on the ice. He'll trade and be replaced by Mattias Ekholm. 6 minutes having elapsed here in the third period. Vancouver 3, Edmonton 2. Draisaitl both goals for the Oilers. McDavid jitterbugging his way as far as the Vancouver line. Taken off his stick. Soucy ahead to Connor Garland. He'll dump it in. Ekholm to Bouchard, and now Draisaitl building ahead of steam as he moves his way through the neutral zone. Button hooks, hits Ekholm. Now McDavid open left circle, cross ice, and that was tipped away by Garland. I thought McDavid had a path toward the net there.
So did I.
13:30 to play, third period. Vancouver led 3-0 after one. Hughes a pair of power play goals. Draisaitl with a pair of second period goals. One on the power play, one at even strength to bring Edmonton within one. Draisaitl against Pettersson. Offensive zone for Vancouver. Pettersson snatched it back from McDavid. Played it down low for Brock Besser. He rolls off traffic. Left point shot forward. Tipped by Pettersson. Blocked by Ekholm. Pettersson back on the puck for Vancouver. Out to Forward. He shoots, and that was missed by Besser. That was kind of a slap pass more than anything else. Pettersson to the point. Mishandled by Desharnais. He's able to get on the puck with McDavid bearing down on him. Now Jake DeBrusk back into the offensive zone for Brock Besser. He waits and backhands it down low. DeBrusk in against Ekholm. He'll reverse up the right-hand side. Arvidsson lets it go through to Noah Phil. Cuts left on first Bluger and then Sherwood. Heinen comes over to close on him. And Desharnais will carefully send the puck over to Derek Forbort in the Vancouver zone. Lead pass Bluger. Advance through to Sherwood. He'll tap it in and move in on the forecheck against Darnell Nurse. Heinen centering pass. And Bluger must a wrist shot. Phil had defensive zone coverage and might have interfered with that ability. Here's Matthias Janmark up through center. He'll wrist it down deep. Arvidsson first on the puck for Edmonton. Checked by Roenick. He rolls off that pressure and stays with it. Four-player pile up in the far left corner of the offensive zone for Edmonton as we dip inside. 12 minutes to play in the third period. Puck shaken free to Nurse. His shot sails wide. Rebound to Quinn Hughes. Off the left-hand glass. It's Danton Heinen on the puck for Vancouver. Just one win in its last 7 games for Vancouver. Hughes to the net short side, and that clipped the side of the goal, and the rebound, Sherwood gets back on top of it for Vancouver. Canucks will change. Madsen protecting in the left corner. Checked off by Nugent-Hopkins. Kicked it free and then stolen by Höglander. Rolled toward the net. Höglander unable to stuff it in against Stuart Skinner. The puck rolls behind the net. Nugent-Hopkins to Podkolzin. Under duress in the form of Phil DiGiuseppe. Shaking off a check is Brett Kulak. He's on his backhand as he brings it out of the zone. Lead pass for Podkolzin. Stolen away by DiGiuseppe. Heading for the Edmonton net. Protecting on his backhand. Looking for a teammate. Leaves it in the corner for Höglander. Against Kulak, and now Sasson. Höglander fires it cross ice. Shot Desharnais, missed badly. Rebound off the boards, Forbort. Down low to Höglander. Skinner looking. Here's a dish to Desharnais. Good friends with Stuart Skinner. Back to DiGiuseppe. His shot tipped, hacked at by Miller, and a save made. Stuart Skinner with 10:39 to play in the third period. Vancouver not permitting Edmonton many chances. Just 2 third-period shots in 9.5 minutes for the Oilers. But the Canucks lead remains a paltry 3-2. It was once 3-0. Can Edmonton summon another third-period comeback? We'll come back with more live play-by-play from Rogers Arena in Vancouver, BC. The Canucks 3, the Oilers 2. This is 4 Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network. 3-2 hockey game for Vancouver as Edmonton looks to become the 10th team in the history of the league to record 3 consecutive multi-goal comeback victories. Beat Minnesota on Wednesday night, trailed 2-0, won it 5-3. Beat Colorado Thursday night, 4-3, trailed the game 3-0 at one point. Here's Ekholm digging it out of the corner. Vancouver led 3-0 after one. Draisaitl scored twice in the second period. It's 3-2 with 10 minutes to play. McDavid hit the Vancouver line, relieved of the puck. Golfed in by Ekholm. Draisaitl token pressure on Soucy. Over to Tyler Myers, and the jittery Canucks get it out, but Soucy put too much on that. Skinner elected to play it. Might have been icing as that was heading toward the side of the net. Instead, it's Bouchard to Nugent-Hopkins streaking through the middle. Arvidsson in close quarters with Quinn Hughes, who scored twice in the first period on the power play for Vancouver. Steal Darnell Nurse. Behind the net, Nugent-Hopkins. Arvidsson right corner. Edmonton pressing for the equalizer here. Nugent-Hopkins served it up. Nurse left point. Not much on that pass, but down low it's grabbed by Arvidsson. He's pestered. Put it back down in the corner, and Podkolzin protecting. Chipped it over to Nugent-Hopkins. Served it up for Brett Kulak. Across to Darnell Nurse. High slot. Arvidsson pounds one toward the net. Going to have it deflected wide. 9:20 remaining in regulation. It's Vancouver 3, Edmonton 2. Canucks carve the puck out of the corner. Here's Brock Besser. Shoveled ahead. Pedersen let it go through to DeBrusk. He'll pop it in and get jackknifed into the bench by Darnell Nurse. Kulak, a reset for Edmonton as we go inside 9 minutes left in the third. McDavid back on the ice with Leon Draisaitl. Here's the outlet from Kulak to Draisaitl. He'll lug it through the neutral zone with Hyman on his right. Eventually knocked off his stick, and Edmonton must regroup.
They're just playing a static, basically a 1-3-1 here. This is looking a bit like how LA plays in the neutral zone, Jack, right now.
Lead pass for Ekholm. Moves in against Tyler Myers. Puts the brakes on. Myers checked him off the puck. Hyman there with support. He'll swing it around the boards for Bouchard. Left alone on the right half wall. Bouchard scored the game winner against Colorado. It was just his second goal in 23 games. 11th career game winner. Draisaitl stripped by Heinen. Banged in by Connor Garland. Stuart Skinner will clear up the left-hand side. Draisaitl changes. McDavid still out there. A quartet of Canuck defenders roll at him. And when McDavid kicked it back to the point, Stetcher had not yet gotten there. So the Oilers have to fall back.
Jack, how many shots the Oilers have in the third period here?
They got two. Two shots in 12 minutes. And only 14 for the game against a team that routinely gets outshot. Adam Henrique pumps it up the left-hand side. Back to collect is Derek Forbort. He'll leave it for Brock Besser. Saucered ahead. Pedersen able to collect against Emberson. Vancouver, having lost its two prior games, 6-1 and 5-1, digging in against Edmonton. Here's Forbort. Up the left-hand side, Pedersen turns and clears back through center. Höglander inadvertently put it back into his own zone, but the Oilers weren't ready. Had it tagged back up, so Henrique lays it off to Stetcher, and it's a regroup for Brett Kulak. And Edmonton has been bogged down a ton in this rather clogged third period.
Can't penetrate, get up the ice here.
Kulak and Podkolzin trade. Now up the middle for Nurse. Brushed off the stick. Höglander races back into the offensive zone. He's checked off by Noah Phil. DiGiuseppe unable to free it up. Nurse the stretch. Too far on net. Thatcher Demko elects to hand off to Quinn Hughes. He'll jam it off the boards back through center. Demko in his 6th full season in the National Hockey League. Looking to get back on track. Came in with just 2 wins in 8 games and a save percentage of 87. DiGiuseppe put it back behind the net. As Bob has indicated, Edmonton not enough pressure on Demko tonight. Credited with just 15 shots. Roenick takes a pass from J.T. Miller, and he and Hughes will just melt some clock in their own end. As Nugent-Hopkins has come on with Arvidsson and Corey Perry. Gaining the line is Heinen. Off to Kiefer Sherwood. Tried to give it back to Heinen. That was off the mark. Heinen left it in the corner. Nugent-Hopkins on it. The puck shaken free. Sherwood on his backhand. Shovels it out. Desharnais across to Derek Forbort. A shot, and that was blocked by Perry and immediately cleared off the boards and out. Desharnais ahead of Arvidsson. Sent it over. Sherwood slams it back in for Vancouver. And all of a sudden, we've got 5:45 left in the game. Lots of time, but Edmonton has not been able to sustain any sort of attack, and an unforced error by Bouchard will lead to an icing call.
You worry about...
He just flung it up the right-hand side, Bob, and that's an easy call for the officials to make.
That's a sign of fatigue is what that is.
Well, they're at the end of a stretch of 9 games in 8 different cities and 4 different time zones covering 15 days.
Yeah, and sometimes it's too hard to keep chasing.
Well,
and Vancouver's done. They've bottled things up.
There's still 5.5 to play. Draisaitl and McDavid back out there. Off the face-off, lost by Draisaitl. Here's Connor Garland. Draisaitl checked him against the end boards. A drive by Soucy. There was traffic in front in the form of J.T. Miller. He was down on all fours. Edmonton came up with a rebound. Bouchard to McDavid lost it at center, and Suter twisted it back inside the Edmonton line as Vancouver stacks its own blue line. McDavid will jump in against Carson Soucy. Twist it back for Bouchard. Pressure from Garland forces a turnover. Pius Suter weaving his way through the neutral zone and eventually shooting has it deflected over the net. Draisaitl looks on and now looks to change. The shifts are getting shorter and shorter for Draisaitl and McDavid. Here's Pettersson in on the forecheck against Ekholm. Won a battle. Kept it alive for Brock Besser. Guided out to Quinn Hughes. Across to Philip Hronek. His shot gloved by Skinner. And we got a penalty coming. Cross-checking. Time of the penalty, 15-20, third period. And Vancouver will be awarded a fourth power play tonight. Ekholm to the box. Canucks 3, Oilers 2. Vancouver looking for insurance on the power play. When we come back to Rogers Arena, this is Ford Dealers NHL Hockey, the Oilers Radio Network.
Believing in yourself takes confidence. At Portage College, 93% of grads say their education gave them the skills and knowledge they needed for their careers. That's the kind of confidence that leads to great results. Learn more at portagecollege.ca.
Hey, Edmonton. Ever think about who gets your hard-earned money when you buy groceries?
Only once before in the history of the Edmonton Oilers has the club rallied to win 3 consecutive games when trailing by at least 2 goals. December 2005. And, of course, the Oilers ended up all the way in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final later that spring. That's the only time it's happened in the history of Edmonton. It's only happened 8 other times in the history of the league. Vancouver up 3-2. Led at 1.3-0, looking for insurance on the power play. Napa Auto Parts penalty kill. Nugent Hopkins, Henrique, Brown, and Nurse. Quinn Hughes, a pair of power play goals already. Off the draw, turned it over behind the net, and Darnell Nurse winds it around the boards. Demko, a sloppy knockdown, and that forces Hughes to come all the way back into the corner to receive the puck. Connor Brown, meanwhile, has hopped over the boards. Lead pass ahead of Janmark, and that's well offside. Whistled against Brock Besser, as we got a glimpse of what it would look like if there were no offside in the NHL on that long toss for Besser. Bring the face off all the way back inside the Vancouver zone. 4:02 to play in the third period, and 1:22 left in the cross-checking minor against Matthias Ekholm.
Oilers got to get a kill here to give themselves a chance, Jack.
Vancouver 2 for 3 on the power play tonight.
It's called being the master of understatement.
Face-off win by Miller against Connor Brown. Canucks, meanwhile, looking for just their second win in their last 8 games, their 4th win in their last 15. They have struggled and fallen out of a playoff spot heading into tonight. Besser shoots from a sharp angle and missed. Miller gave it back to him on the right half boards. Off the wall, Hughes to JT Miller. Fires, and shot by Ty Emberson. Sees that puck hurtle out of play. 56 seconds left in the Napa Auto Parts penalty kill, and 3:36 remaining in the hockey game. As Bob indicated earlier, the Oilers will take tomorrow off, return to practice Monday in preparation for a Tuesday tilt against the Washington Capitals, who lead the league after Winnipeg was beaten earlier today. It's Washington all by itself atop the league at 31-10-5, and the Canucks are going to take a timeout here. 3:36 to go in the third. I don't mind this from Rick Tocchet.
He knows what he's doing.
Reset with your top power play unit and see if you can get a key goal that would keep Edmonton at bay.
No question.
It's a 7 o'clock face-off, by the way, against the Capitals. Cam Moon and Bob Stauffer will have the call for you live from Rogers Place, opener of a 6-game homestand. We said a grueling first 2 weeks of January, and then February will be a lot of travel between Four Nations Cup. No doubt some holidays for the Edmonton Oilers and road trips both preceding and succeeding the Four Nations Cup. St. Louis and Chicago before the Four Nations, and then after, Bob, you and I will be in Philadelphia to start, and that's a trip that takes Edmonton through Washington and the Sunshine State.
It's going to be a tough trip, Jack. That'll be the toughest trip of the year.
But that's next month. This is the present. Vancouver 3, Edmonton 2 after the timeout. It's Miller against Henrique. In the face-off circle to Skinner's right. And Henrique dug in, won the draw, pounded up the boards by Nurse. A good zone keep by Besser. Nurse tries again, and this time succeeds. Hughes knocks it down at the Vancouver blue line and rushes the puck into the offensive zone. Miller with 40 seconds on the power play, hands to Hughes. Then back to Miller. 2 assists already tonight. Feathers one to Besser. Miller one more time. Little spin move on Connor Brown to Besser. Hughes looks for a lane, dishes off. Connor Garland, not there. Hughes, 25 seconds on the power play. Garland, not anticipating a return pass, has to spin away from Josh Brown. Checked against the boards by Henrique. Freed up by Brown to Nurse. Up the wall, Quinn Hughes. Little spin move on Connor Brown, and an errant pass chases Besser back to center. And the Oilers are going to get this killed off. Lead pass, Pettersson, heading for the net. Garland fires, and a save made by Skinner as Ekholm comes charging out of the box. McDavid plowed his way through a potential hold against Pettersson and sent it up to Ekholm, fresh out of the sin bin. Here's Soucy up the boards, knocked down by McDavid. Feathered back to Bouchard, 2.5 to go. Skinner to the bench, and we've got an extra attacker, 6-on-5. Draisaitl and Hyman unable to keep it down low. Sherwood turns, clears, and Suter had an opportunity to clear and eventually iced the puck. Ekholm back, and the whistle will go with 2:12 to play in the third period. Now, McDavid, Draisaitl, and Hyman just came on, so to my estimation, no need for a timeout here. The Oilers will probably keep it in their pocket, and a way to face off to Demko's right-hand side.
Got to win the draw.
So Draisaitl, McDavid, Nugent-Hopkins, Hyman, Bouchard, and Ekholm out there 6-on-5.
And Vancouver has won about 62% of faceoffs in this game.
And the Oilers have been a top 5 faceoff team all year long. Draisaitl against Suter. Maybe another indicator of the fatigue you're talking about. Off the draw, Suter ties it up. Soucy spun it off the glass. Ekholm, brilliant job of keeping it in. McDavid looking for the equalizer. Draisaitl let it go through to Bouchard on the left half board. Shovel down low. Suter able to knock it down and pin it against the boards. Hyman comes over to chisel it free. Now it's McDavid protecting on his backhand. Reverse pivot, left circle. Tried to center, broken up by Sherwood. Won a battle against Suter, but cleared by Rodick. And we are not going to have icing called, but we have a puck play with a high stick at center. Was it Nugent-Hopkins?
Yeah, they also lost 3 seconds on the clock here. I don't know if anybody on the Oilers bench got it. It's 1:37 when the call was made.
Now, when the call was made, when was the puck touched? Also at 1:37?
1:37, okay. They lost 3 seconds.
Yeah, 1:34, and no indicator yet.
Chris is,
yeah.
He's saying,
I think they're going to put some time back on this clock. Good eyes, partner. 3-2 Vancouver. Skinner has to return to the pipes with that puck play with a high stick. The faceoff comes back into the Edmonton zone. Draisaitl will take the draw against JT Miller, and they've actually put 5 seconds back on, so 1:39. Chris was even greedier than you, partner. Here's Miller against Draisaitl, who won the faceoff. Ekholm over to Bouchard. Vancouver trying to crowd Edmonton in the offensive zone. As McDavid moved up ice, Skinner headed for the bench. And indeed, the extra attacker on. Pettersson pressure down low in the corner against Bouchard. The puck pops loose, and now Ekholm has it. And here come the Oilers with 1:15 to play, trailing 3-2. Looking to extend their winning streak to 5. They're down a goal. Nugent-Hopkins over to Leon Draisaitl, right corner. Curled it in front, McDavid. Broken stick from Pettersson. It's 6-on-4.5, basically. Here's Draisaitl, biding his time, right circle. Loading up, feeding. Bouchard showed one-timer. Minute to go. McDavid to Draisaitl, and that rocketed up on the glass. A diving Pettersson moved it back towards center. The Canucks will get a 5th stick out there. It's Bouchard up the left-hand side. Demko reaching, can't get there. There's still shards of that stick on the ice. It's guided by Draisaitl out to Bouchard. Now it's Ekholm. 40 seconds to play. Shot wide of a screen, Demko. Rebound Draisaitl on the right half boards. Peers inside. Bouchard down low, tipped away. Miller will knock it into the corner. McDavid, 25 seconds. Dishes, one-timer Bouchard. Deflected wide. Ekholm shoots it through the crease. Here's Bouchard to McDavid. Poke checked off a stick. Bouchard will keep the line. Looks, fires, high on Demko. Rebound off the boards. 12 seconds. Draisaitl shoots. Block shot. Rebound. Nugent-Hopkins. Draisaitl fires. Block shot. 5 seconds. Bouchard. Draisaitl, and finally a penalty will be called.
McDavid just cross-checked Garland. Oh, and then a brutal cross-check by Myers. He just cross-checked Evan Bouchard right in the face. There are guys flopping all over the place.
Draisaitl staring down Connor Garland.
I would put Josh Brown out for the final 2 seconds. I'm serious.
Draisaitl and Garland wrestling. No meaningful blows exchanged.
This game is over, but
Well, it's 2 seconds. Where's the face-off going to be? Myers and McDavid have been sent off. A wild sequence of block shots.
See, no matter what, the face-off's coming outside the line, so you can't win the game.
If both players were penalized. I didn't actually see an arm go up with McDavid. I did see with Myers.
He got a penalty.
So Garland was swarming McDavid, and McDavid finally got up and cross-checked him right in the chops.
It was coincidental. He came up too on him. And then,
well, what's coincidental was Myers drilling Bouchard. Garland did not cross-check McDavid in the face.
Came up. He had his
what?
He had his 2 hands on his stick.
Right. Well, most hockey players do have 2 hands on a stick.
He made it count, Crossley. He knew what he was doing.
All right, here's the replay. Now tell me where...
Right. Both up.
But he doesn't hit McDavid in the head. McDavid hits him in the head. Now Myers absolutely belts Bouchard. Look at this. Let's see if they show it here. I want to see the Myers hit.
Garland could have gotten called for 2 or 3 calls before that.
Well, he was holding McDavid, and McDavid had finally had enough.
Right.
Now, where's the Myers cross-check?
Let's get the call.
Under review.
Like he's tackling him.
Now look.
Yeah. No.
What I'm waiting for is Myers on Bouchard.
Just a horrible officiating performance tonight. I mean, why is that not called? With 8 seconds left in the game, there was no call.
You're saying a hold potentially on Garland.
Should have been called. And now they're going to show the one on.
Now, Kings 2-4
finishes on Bouchard, then the swinging of the stick.
And then he comes up.
And more.
Let's see what happens here. Cross-check right in the face.
He's getting suspended no matter
That'll
what.
be a suspension.
That'll be a suspension for Tyler.
Yeah, Myers a cross-check right in the face. The actual hit was fine. Bouchard tapped him on the backside, and then Myers, when Bouchard persisted, cross-checked him right in the face. I mean, that is not what McDavid did to Garland. McDavid and Garland were jockeying for position, and McDavid's stick rode up and caught Garland in the face. Now, the Canucks were also unhappy with Hyman getting his stick up as well. I mean, this is, again, a product of a 7-game series. Bitterly fought. Vancouver never trailed at any point in the series until Game 7. And the Oilers won it 3-2 to advance to the Western Conference Final, and Vancouver's 109-point season went for naught.
If the officials do their job and call Garland for any one of the 2 or 3 plays, I mean, at any point, none of that happens. And these guys, it started in the first period. Of course, let's not forget Carson Soucy cross-checked Connor McDavid right in the face last year. Got a 1-game suspension. Would have been a 3-game suspension in the regular season all day.
I would say there have been calls missed on both sides.
Both sides. They've had a tough night. And it's been an emotional night.
Well, in Vancouver, the emotional tempo of this game has been set by Vancouver, not Edmonton, because the Canucks are a desperate club on the outside looking in.
They're playing hungry, and the Oilers didn't play with the same sense of desperation early. Why?
Well, they're reviewing to see if there's a 5-minute major on Myers, not McDavid. I think they're looking at the Myers. They announced they're reviewing a 5.
I wonder if they're reviewing 2, Jack. I got to tell you.
I don't think McDavid's getting a 5 for that.
They just informed the Oilers bench. That is not a good sign for Connor McDavid.
I find it hard to believe McDavid and Myers would be handed out with the same degree of justice. It's not close.
I'm going to guess here that we're looking at major penalties both ways.
All right, penalties on the play. 97 Edmonton has a match penalty. Number 57 Vancouver has a match penalty.
There you go.
Everyone else on the ice has minors.
I don't agree with McDavid's being a match penalty.
You knew it was coming.
I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with McDavid's being a match.
This is the only
Myers was a match for sure, and McDavid absolutely was, but I don't think it's a match.
So what happens is the world's best player has to take matters into his own hand because this league doesn't protect their star players. Right? They don't call penalties as the playoffs go on.
In the meantime, we get a little Belinda Carlisle reverberating throughout Rogers Arena. There's 2.3 seconds officially on the clock. And because of the coincidentals, the faceoff is going to come out to the neutral zone.
Everybody that was out there has got to go off here. And
right.
Brown is, if I'm Brown, I'm putting him at wing. I'm putting him up at wing.
That was a wild sequence with bodies strewn all over the ice.
Oilers still have the net empty. 2.3 seconds left.
Why not? I mean, 6-on-5, you never know. Henrique will look for a clean face-off win, and either Nurse or Arvidsson will try to tee one up from beyond the blue line. Josh Brown is up on the wing.
If I was him, I'd go right at Carson Soucy, right off the draw. Yes, that's what I'm campaigning here for.
Henrique against Max Sasson. Won the faceoff. Arvidsson, a shot sails wide, and the game is over.
Canucks won the gamesmanship battle tonight. They were the more desperate team.
3-2 the final, Vancouver. The Oilers limited to just 15 shots.
None of this happens.
And their 4-game winning streak comes to an end.
None of this happens if Wes McCauley,
who you typically like,
I think he's historically been one of the best referees in the league, and Chrisley, if they do their job and give Connor Garland a penalty, any one of the three they could have called, none of that would have happened. And the exasperation and frustration that McDavid shows at the end of the game is a direct result of the fact that there could have been 3 separate penalties on Connor Garland. And that is the gamesmanship battle that the Vancouver Canucks won tonight. I mean, if you're an Oiler partisan, you're sitting there and you're saying, you know, Garland, greasy play against McDavid, and he got away with it, and he induced the frustration. And then conversely, Myers sits there and cross-checks.
Well, for me, Bob, the story is the Oilers, for the first time all season, don't even get 20 shots on net. Well, they got 15, including 8 in the final 2 periods. They scored twice on 5 shots in the second period. Bob, they got 3 in the third.
They were the second best team on the ice. That it needs to be established. The problem is we got an inconsistent performance from the third team on the ice, and Vancouver had some energy going, and the best player on the ice by a mile was Quinn Hughes. And there were 2 games for Vancouver. When he was on the ice, it was played one way, and when he was not on the ice, it was played another. And the Oilers,
and that's typically the case in Canuck games, as you pointed out early.
Slow to react. Nobody pounded Quinn Hughes the entire night. And look at how they handled Connor McDavid at the end of the game.
And you heard what I talked about in the pregame show. You got to get bodies on Quinn Hughes.
You play Vancouver on Thursday, you got to run Quinn Hughes every chance you get. Because we just had a game where they abused Connor McDavid. JT Miller was abusing him in the first period. You know, we saw a scenario where in the playoffs last year, the Edmonton Oilers, Evan Bouchard put up 11 points, was +7. Quinn Hughes, 5 points. in the series.
And part of that is he physically wore down as the series moved
but
along.
You take a look at this. This is on the league. This is on the league and the reaction, the frustration for McDavid. I'd start saying no to stuff if I was McDavid with the league. Oh, you need me to do that? Nah. Sorry, man. Anyways, Canucks won. Hughes was the best player. Draisaitl was the second best player. And Miller had a good night, too. But the Canucks won. They won the gamesmanship battle early.
Now,
they
amen.
were the better team.
Final score,
and they
Oilers
ultimately
2,
prevailed
Canucks
3-2 in
3,
Washington.
Google.
And now
Oilers
what are we worried about
2-3
against
Canucks.
Washington?
Final,
The availability of Connor Beals, a match
stats, news, and more. Attachment.
And I got to say, I agree with the match on Tyler Myers. I'm not sure. I mean, McDavid was in a dust-up with Garland, and they both came up at the same time, as Bob said. Now, McDavid made the contact to the face, but they were in a battle. That's different than Bouchard with his arms at his side, and Myers drills him right in the neck.
The story